I gotta be honest, I was expecting that scarecrow to attack her, so I think she got off easy. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake, the Scary Story Guy, and if you can believe this, today we're reviewing a horror prequel that's actually good. If you saw the film X that came out a few months ago, you may have wondered about the crazy, horny old lady. Why was she so crazy? Why was she so horny? The answers to those questions and many more can be found in the origin story you never knew you needed. Pearl. Now, X was director Ty West's love letter to campy old slasher movies. It takes place in 1979, and it follows a group of young people trying to make an adult movie on a farm, but then end up getting terrorized and eventually murdered by some crazy old people. There was a post-credit scene after X that honestly I thought might have been a joke at first, but it was a trailer for Pearl, and all it said was, "Coming soon." I am astonished to see it come this soon. In X, Mia Goth starred both as the final girl Maxine and the old woman Pearl. Here she reprises her role as a young Pearl and also adds a screenwriting credit to her name. Now, we're gonna go on a little Mia Goth rant here, so buckle up. Frankly, if the Academy wasn't so biased against horror movies, Mia Goth would be adding an Oscar nomination to her resume. This is, without question, the performance of the year for me so far. It's really hard to overstate how good she is in this. This is a Joaquin Phoenix Joker level performance here. And what makes it doubly impressive is that unlike X, there's really not much of a supporting cast here. I mean, obviously there are other characters, but this movie unquestionably belongs to Pearl, as you might have surmised from the title. Mia Goth has to ride a really fine line between terrifying and totally psychotic, but also sympathetic and pitiable, and the ease with which she switches back and forth between these two personas, and how jarring it is to watch her somehow inhabit both of them at once. Honestly, I have never seen anything like it. Every year, all the Oscar nominees are dramas and biopics, which means that collectively we all have to undergo this weird ritual where we pretend that Renee Zellweger was just sublime and transcendent in that fucking Judy Garland movie that like 12 people saw. Horror and comedy always get the shaft, and these are really difficult and important styles of acting that I think a lot of quote-unquote distinguished actors struggle with. I mean, did you see Natalie Portman try to be funny in the new Thor movie? It was a train wreck. I was mad when Rachel McAdams didn't get a Best Supporting Actress nomination for Game Night a few years ago, and I'm already mad as hell in advance that Mia Goth is not going to get nominated for this, because frankly she might deserve to win. I mean, she's going so far outside of anyone's comfort zone here. This is a performance that is vulnerable to the point of being genuinely distressing to watch. There are a lot of really good, I think, actors and actresses who simply could not do so many of the things that she does in this movie. There's one scene in particular, if you've seen the movie you already know what I'm talking about, where she monologues for, I swear to God, 8 minutes, and the camera does not leave her face once. And somehow it's like the least boring scene in the entire movie. That scene was the equivalent of Klay Thompson dropping 37 points in a quarter, where he's just a man possessed. He can't be stopped, to the point where it's more ridiculous than anything else, honestly. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's just talk about the movie more broadly now. Pearl, in my opinion, is pretty close to being a masterpiece. It's a lot more bleak and demented than X, which I actually thought was fairly peppy as you know, slasher movies go. This is like a Technicolor case study of a sociopath. Sociopath feels like understating it, really. Pearl is totally out of control. Just one of those people who is so neurochemically broken that she just needs to be locked up. There is no world in which this person is coexisting peacefully with society. It's not an unfeeling psychopathy, though, which makes it more unsettling, but it also makes it more heartbreaking. Pearl feels everything very deeply, and her life circumstances are undeniably shitty. All her needs are going unmet, and so almost everything she's feeling deeply is profoundly negative. She's trapped in an old farmhouse with her horrible mother, who is she's not Carrie White's mom. I mean, she's a sympathetic character herself in many ways. She's just an incredibly tough hang. And her father, who's infirm, in a wheelchair, you know, he shits in his pants all the time. He basically requires round-the-clock care. Add to this all the turmoil of the world in 1918, right? The First World War, which her husband is fighting in, the Spanish flu pandemic, which her mother's terrified of, and our gal Pearl is officially on the struggle bus. And she proceeds to handle it all in very healthy ways, honestly. She goes to therapy, you know, does some gratitude journaling, downloads a meditation app, kills a goose with a pitchfork. This movie's just so unique in so many ways, not the least of which are the circumstances surrounding its making. Ty West essentially filmed X and Pearl back to back, which means he had already jumped into the deep end on this movie before he had any idea whether people would like the first one or not. That is so ballsy. And in a world where studios are constantly trying to just squeeze profits and minimize losses and just frankly financially overanalyze everything, I respect the hell out of A24 for just saying to Ty West, go do your thing. Oh, what's that? Your thing is actually two things? Cool, go for it. This was also filmed in the middle of the pandemic, which I actually thought made the callbacks to the old Spanish flu really interesting, right? Characters are scared of the germ, they're all wearing masks. Frankly, it's pretty eerie to witness in the aftermath of what we all just went through. And apparently Ty West and Mia Goth are not done here. There is another post-credits scene after this movie. It wasn't a full-on trailer because I believe the upcoming movie isn't actually filmed yet, but apparently this is going to be something of a trilogy. The upcoming movie is called Maxine with 3 X's and will tell the story of Maxine Minx, the final girl of the X movie, you know, a few years after the events of that. And frankly, I love Pearl so much that even if all the critics, all the reviews say that Maxine just totally sucks, I'm going to be there opening night because that's how much Ty West has earned my trust over these first 2 movies. Before I watch that, though, it looks like I've got to catch up on the rest of Ty West's filmography. He's got a couple other horror movies that have been well reviewed called House of the Devil and The Innkeepers, so I'll be watching both of those in short order. But yeah, this is just exciting, man. 4 of my 6 favorite movies from this year so far have been horror. The genre is just in a great place right now. I'm way more optimistic about it than I was a few years ago in the heyday of the Paranormal Activity franchise. So I'm gonna give Pearl 4.5 stars out of 5. Holy shit, go see it. Anyway, as always, stay tuned for more spooky content. Feel free to check out my own original scary stories in the description if you're so inclined. Thank you for watching this video, and here's hoping you survive to see the next one.